Jenkins.
Here.
Harden. Hahn.
Here.
McKinley.
Here.
Pearl.
Here.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have one quick presentation. This is from the Farmer City Heritage Days Committees. The letter reads, Mayor Jenkins, Larry, and Councilman, thank you so much for your help with the 2013 Heritage Days. Although spirits were damper, we feel it was a successful event. We couldn't have done it without your help. Thank you again. Again, signed the Farmer City Heritage Days Committee. With that, being no public comments, we move on to Section 1, Consent Agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll second it.
Call it.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Hahn.
Yes.
McKinley.
Yes.
Pearl.
Yes.
Motion carries.
With there being no unfinished business, we move to Section 3, New Business.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance 925, the golf cart.
Second.
Discussion.
I did notice that there are hours of sunrise to sunset, which I think is good. Even though they have to have lights and everything, they are a vehicle that you have to be pretty defensive on when you're riding around the streets. I'm not against it. I personally, my own thing is that I own a golf cart, play golf. Sometimes I want to take it home, drive the other end of town, or I'm a little leery to do that because I think somebody's going to sit there and nail me, and I just want to take it down and clean it up and bring it back. That's my only thing about this. I think it's, that's me. But anyway, months-to-year operation. I don't think it should operate 12 months out of the year. I think April 1 to either November 1 or December 1.
That's one question I get wrote down there too, when the golfing season mostly is.
Not even the golfing season, just the fact that it's weather-wise. You're looking at, you could get weather, you can get snow in November, and I think if it did, the other thing maybe if it did snow, that it would be, that's it, can't drive anymore on the streets. And taking effect factor, if we did pass this thing, taking effect, I think not until the first of the year. See, the other thing too was the fee. I don't know, I don't know what, I was thinking $50, but I don't know if that's enough.
I made phone calls today to other towns, and they're anywhere from 25, 35 to 100. So, but the 100 was the fee plus an inspection. They charge for inspection too. So, I don't think we need to get that astronomical myself.
I
It's
have,
$100 plus.
I have a recommendation here. It says, in consideration of the golf court ordinance, I would recommend an annual fee of $100, as there will be considerable time involved with the administration of this ordinance. And then a side point, again, it must be made clear that DeWitt County does not permit golf carts on their roads.
The other thing I caught on here, headlights, they gotta be on all the time.
Probably, just like you yeah.
I don't know if that was like a state rule or state law or how that really was.
It's not such a bad thing because, like I said, the fragileness of driving this thing around, it's quiet, you can't see it. I mean, you got to be on the defensive, I think, when you're driving it. Like I said, whenever I have taken my home from the golf course 2 hours into town, that I take the most indirect way I can get there that doesn't cause anything. I still have to go down Allen Street, but try to keep it away from anything so it doesn't. And always watching because you want to be careful about vehicles. But what did you read in this?
It just said, and it must be made clear that DeWitt County does not permit golf carts on their roads.
True. Administrative thing, I don't know if there's going to be all that many, just because there's golfers. Not everybody has their golf carts set up. Like there's only maybe a half a dozen out there that do have the type of golf cart that could be street legal. To get the thing, I just don't think you'll see that much. You'll see people, I think, probably jump on it, but you're going to have to spend bare minimum probably $3,000 up to $6,000, $8,000 if you want to have a golf cart that's ready to go like that. So if you're going to buy new, it's going to be more than $6,000, $8,000 range. If you're going to buy used, you might want to do something around $3,000. Personally, if it's me, I have no desire to even convert my cart put lights on it to go through this. I use it out there. I'm just wasting batteries going back and forth. So,
Did we get our letter sent to the state agreeing to crossing?
Well, that's not resolved yet. I mean, we haven't heard back from the state.
Okay.
And I would imagine, and I don't want to speak for Larry, he may not send it until we move on this. So,
Are you aware of the new law? I don't know.
what's that?
The governor signed the law 2 weeks ago. You can cross anywhere. That it was not. I told the city Clinton was waiting on theirs. That law did get passed, signed.
On the highway as well?
Any highway that's not a. You need to look at the law, but from what's being discussed at Clinton, there was a restriction before. It could be over 35 miles an hour, stuff like that. To let you do it on your own. Now there's no restrictions except cannot be a controlled access highway.
I think what we were concerned about is we need to have an,
And that was a new law governor signed the Thursday before the last meeting.
I haven't seen that one. I know we were concerned about crossing around the bends to get to the golf. We would have to get permission. I thought we had to get permission from IDOT before we could actually
Well,
cross.
that's what the last meeting we
I think
talked about, Larry.
the old rule was you couldn't cross anywhere that was over 35 miles an hour, and you could only cross, you had pre-approval to cross if it was under 35 miles an hour and at a four-way stop or a stop light. So I think that was probably.
This does say that stop sign, stop light.
So, and see, that's where I think you would ask for permission, because you're violating those rules. But now, the state said they relaxed most all those rules with the new law.
Mr. McMillan?
okay, the other thing is the legal age. I don't like 16. I think 18. I think you start finding, you're going to get kids screwing around these things, get to playing. I know how it is just on the golf course, let alone on a city street. And, I mean, there's as much common sense to using driving this as, and responsibility as there is in driving a car. And I just think at 18.
The question I had was, how are we gonna, what's the permit gonna look like? Are we gonna have some sort of sticker that's on the card, or what's that gonna look like?
Could design it. Just have the city symbol with golf cart permit underneath it.
I'd say we do some sort of color or something like that, you could change it every year, and that way
Well,
officers
you
can
could,
see it
you
from a
could have it
distance.
every year, change it every year, just have
Or
an
a year.
additional sticker, you put a year on it each time.
But something like that needs to be done, I think.
It'd be the initial sticker, and then every year after that, you'd have to have a sticker from that point on.
Mac asked about L, the maximum occupancy of golf carts traveling on city streets would be 1 per bucket seat or 2 people per bench seat, no matter the number of seat belts. His, I guess, question was, what about the bench seats with a little kid? And I don't know how those things are operated or why you would want a little kid in the first place.
Well, you do, and I understand what he's saying, because he's talking about taking grandkids with him.
He has 3 grandkids, so I can understand where he's
He was
coming
wondering
from. So,
if that could be scratched. We'll put a
I don't
star on
have a problem with it. I don't think you want your kid running in the basket. But just,
I was gonna say, I mean, golf carts have back seats too.
well, that's true, and that would be the thing too, because more of them are, just knowing what he has over in Mansfield, a lot of them do have that back seat. They're set up for that. They're not primarily set up for the golfing end of it. They're used for motor transportation, And
they just did that in Toledo too. My in-laws bought one, and they have that. It's the permanent seat in the back. It's
yeah, so you take care.
They get the cheapest ones.
Was there any possible corrections that we were
Yeah,
making?
I think it's $20.
B was 18.
B was 18. Of course, B was already their sunrise to sunset.
The price is not set in here.
Not set. That's why I just said
It's on the back
$50.
page. Comes first.
Just on the fee, on the application.
I think the application was,
He's on the lounge right there. I mean, I think Larry just set it up as whatever he's, it's up for discussion, of course. But we can change it wherever we want.
Where do you get the ordinance from?
I don't know that.
We had like 4 or 5 floating around before. I don't remember which city this one came from.
The few cities that I look at, they're basically the same verbiage.
Section 9 then, the effective date, are we looking at maybe a next year date?
At least January 1, if not later.
And we wanted to consider adding a time. You said November 1st
Excuse me.
for operation time. We're all here. November 1st. No, wait, start that.
April 1st to November 1.
April 1 to November 1.
Do you want to push it that late in the year though?
November 1?
November
No,
1.
March, or April, excuse
Oh,
me.
sure.
I put one for March. I haven't played golf in March.
It depends.
Well, that's what I'm saying, but I mean, I think I played golf every year in March.
Actually, we're not worried about golf. We play golf. I think it's that. We're not-
I know, but if there's snow on the ground, you can't play.
Right, but that's why April
That's
1,
what I'm
so
saying.
it's clear, so
Okay.
it's going to be a good time.
I would recommend March 1st, and you recommend April 1st, we disagree, it's okay.
And are we thinking $50 or $100? 50. The annual cost of the permit should be set at 50.
Are they gonna charge for inspections?
And what are the city's
Now, it
costs?
says it was a golf carts, it was all golf carts operated by city manager, must be inspected by the person designated as city manager, must have a valid permit. I would imagine the police department would fill that role. We thinking 100?
It could be a,
So we'll have to inspect it, and then the sticker, that's what it costs, right?
Well, I have to inspect it and I have to provide them the sticker. And then,
I'm just making sure I was overlooking the costs or anything like that. I don't care about it.
so we
So
think-
C, you want to insert $100? In
Yes.
Section 5?
Section 5, C, 100. All right. Well, with there being no immediacy on this, recommend we just table this until the changes are made.
Make a motion to table ordinance 925.
I'll second it.
Call it.
Han,
Yes.
McKinley,
yes.
Pearl,
Yes.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Motion carries.
There being no other new business, we move on to section 4, where we'll cover city manager report, non-agenda items, and other business. Let's take care of it. City is studying increase the city base rate. I had a note from him here too. It says, I have sent correspondence to Governor Pat Quinn, Representative Bill Mitchell, and Senator Chapin Rose, informing them of the need for their assistance in the effort to properly remove the toxic chemicals from the land parcel near Illinois Route 54 and US 150. The Illinois EPA issued a letter dated October 28, 2011, and the then owner, R.W. Sheridan Oil Company, Bloomington, Illinois, such toxins as, there's no way I can pronounce those. They have been identified at the site. City needs to take a position in seeking help from the state, or this parcel will never become a site available for development. No other comment on that, that's just his note. Notice is a Plum Street construction will be placed at each resident door later this week.
You said it was really shooting.
Yeah.
Sure and all.
Any non-agenda items? Yes, sir.
What's the status on that ground? As I know, I've been hearing talk that the people that own it's been granted to get it cleaned up, but they're not doing their job.
My understanding was they got money to clean it up.
They would have money to clean it up. It's just like what happened down at Walker's. They didn't cost them anything. There's a fund out there that's available to clean that site up.
Just as, and maybe I'm speaking without any authority here. They received money and they haven't cleaned it up, so no further money is going to be made available to it.
Well, what legal action can we take? Because that's technically we're losing tax revenue out there with infected ground.
Well,
Can we not have a lawyer send a, hey, you're hurting our taxes here by not having their letter to them or something, or do better?
I guess my question was, what more authority would we have more than the EPA?
I don't think we can come in and tell them to clean it up. I don't think there's, we can't order to do it, you know. It's up to them. I'm not sure we have the power to do that.
If we get
The answer-
the ground is
yes,
so
we-
that bad, is it not seeping in the creek?
Well, that comes down to an EPA thing.
So,
It's more, it's more of an EPA thing than it is the city of Farmer City. I mean, we don't like it, you know, we want to see the property developed, but, you know, it's like going around and telling you, you gotta, you know, pick the sticks up in your yard whenever you fall down. I mean, you can't.
Yeah, I don't think we have any more authority than the EPA. That's,
No.
it would be nice. Because I know that land was looked at. And I know that land was extensively investigated to develop something, and that it was because that there was a corporation that did a study, and they saw how much it was going to cost to clean it, and they abandoned it, even after spending lots of money, 6 figures, looking at that. So,
I guess what aggravates me is we're losing possible tax revenue out there. Like how
oh yeah,
they're
they are.
letting
They are.
us- And we're sitting here with our hands behind our back.
It's part of the fact that we just don't have space, and that would be a great space. It would be a prime space, prime location. So I would, he says the city needs to take a position. I think we all would agree that.
You take a position and say they'd like for you to clean it up.
Yeah, I don't know what-
we're gonna do
Yeah.
beyond that.
We can all agree
There's a
that
gas
that needs
station
to be
sit there
done.
for, my God, for, yeah. Yeah, we can go back 60, 70 years for the gas station on that site.
And I don't know how Governor Pat, Representative Bill, Senator Chapin, probably need to send a letter more to the state reps. Not state, but the national reps. If you want EPA. All right, any
I guess
other?
we just ask them for their help if they can in some way to get it cleaned up, push them a little bit. Send them a letter.
Any other items?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
With all that's happened in town over the last, excuse me, last 2 weeks, and even last night, we had nothing to do with what I'm going to bring up, but nonetheless, living in the alley, what's called Service Way, which is a street now, for about the last 35 years, the entering and exiting from the back door to those taverns is an issue. People can run in and out back there so much that there becomes a lot of things going on. You just have to go back there and sit. And you turn the light, go in my building, turn off the lights at night and sit in there and just watch things and what's going on even during the day. It's something that needs to be addressed. As far as maybe not allow the entering from the rear door into. It'd be an exit on the inside, would be an emergency exit, maybe with a signal. So if somebody did go out, the alarm's going to go off. I also thought too that if we were to look at this and look at it pretty strong and decide something that maybe we could offset the cost with the to help the the borrower with that in some way, offset the cost of it, help them out. Maybe.
TIF.
Well, not TIF so much. Maybe liquor license. Maybe, okay, we'll exempt you from your liquor license fee for a year or something like that. Something on that order. But anyway, to help that situation out. You know, I think you can't understand it because you're not back there. You don't see it. But it is an issue. And I talked to one of the bar owners this morning about that because he had some issues at his business last night anyway. So, like I said, it's been something it's been going on in one of the taverns for, God, ever since it's been open. I don't know how much in the past, but like I said, over the past 35 years, there's just a lot of things that go on back there. And it would clean it up, make it easier for the police department, to do their job. They wouldn't have, I'm not sure how much they would patrol it, what goes up and down there. Very nice area. Something to think about. I'm not saying you have to do anything, but right now, it's something to think about. And you can go down and sit down and observe if you want to. I mean, keep my building, you can sit and observe for 6 hours on a Friday night, or even a couple hours on a Friday night or a Saturday night when things are kind of lively over there. Maybe on a Thursday night. It picks up on Wednesday, gets better on Thursday and Friday and Saturday, and then it kind of dies back down. There's a cycle there, how it all works. So, but I tell you what, even I'm as guilty as anybody as far as using the rear entrance exit myself. If I go into one of them, I go in that way. But so it puts me, if I want to go in there, I go through the front door. But I think everybody should enter. I think if you went to any other towns, you'd find it. I challenge to see where that any other town of any size allows the entrance and exit to the back door like they do. I don't know if it's stated that they can't, maybe in an ordinance, and in a larger town it might be, in a smaller community, but I'd have to sit there. I've just think of any small community around it has a bar that's downtown, and you enter in through the front door and you exit through the front door.
You said Service Way is a road?
It is a street. It is a street. It was made into a street per my request. Because of addressing, trying to get things where the city knows where my stuff's at, where the gas company knows where my stuff's at, for one thing. I mean, it's kind of a selfish, self-centered thing, but it got to be a hassle for me for a long time. And then it became somewhat of a blessing whenever they put a concrete road down there, which I wasn't expecting at all. It's been nice.
They have a tent, a beer, I haven't been in there yet, beer tent or a smoking.
There's a fenced-in smoking lot with a park around the outside of the county.
For the summer months.
Included, yeah.
Okay. There was another incident here this week.
Yeah. He was broken into his cooler. The back was broken into, and 30 cases of beer were taken. And we found out later today that they tried to take the air conditioner off the top of that same building.
Wow. The bar owner that you spoke to, what was his thought?
Well, he wasn't. His response back to me was, "Well, they got that door at the bank." I said, "No, they don't. They got 2 entrances into the bank, one off the parking lot, one off of Main Street. That's not a back door." And so he was getting a little lost to find something that could, he could be one, but it also, I think he would find that it might help him out a little bit more too. The other one might be a little bit more resistant to it. I think it's something to talk to them about, and versus I don't think it's coming in and being a stormtrooper way of doing it and saying, "Hey, we're going to do this."
What time
Have some discussion with them.
what time do they open on Friday?
Oh, they open at 10 o'clock, I guess.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say, Pat, what time are you there? Sorry.
I
Sandy, you know.
They should open, I think the ordinance states they can open at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is it 8 a.m. or can they open as early as 6? 6 or
And
7?
open at 6. I'd have to go check the ordinance.
It used to be, in days gone by, it used to be 6 o'clock, but I don't know.
And it could be, I'd have to check the ordinance to be sure.
But it's at least 8 a.m. And so nobody does. I'm not sure one of them might, but it's more like maybe 10 o'clock, 9:30, 10 o'clock, something like that.
I'll speak, if you like, with at least the chief as well. And
I think it is something to talk to him about and, to see what his thoughts on it were and everything. I said something to the officer because there was a crime scene down there a week ago.
Yeah.
And I go down there and when the CSI from the state was done and we were talking and everything, I just said something to him about that. And he said, "Well, I don't like that." I said, "Well, yeah, I probably won't like it, but so what?" in lieu of what's happened, like what happened last Sunday was, another thing, you know. Maybe that wouldn't have happened in there, maybe it would have. More than likely it probably would, because that's where they started out at. Either one of them or both of them had slipped out the back door, and you ever get into discussion, and
Right.
guns are thrown and everything else, so it becomes a,
One thing that's gonna draw my curiosity, if they did do something like that, is, was the front gonna be like those smokers?
well, no, they would still go in and have a room there in the back.
Just have a gate on the very
Well,
back?
you just have the one door, just say you can't exit through this door.
Unless
That's
it's
all.
an emergency.
Because they come out and go into this other room and everything to do their smoking, but then, you know, then there's another door that goes outside, so, yeah.
You'd have to have an emergency exit though.
You'd have to have an emergency exit, yeah, and you still have the same exits, you're just gonna have one that's gonna just be an emergency exit, and if they go out, the alarm's gonna go off, you know, and it's gonna be a, you know, it figured out, take a little learning curve there, but it get figured out sooner or later. And it might not be as bad as everybody thinks it would be. They might sit there and, you know, pitch a fit initially, but it might not, if it were to happen, it might not be as bad as they think it would be.
That's good.
They're all still gonna get to just do the same things. Still gonna get to go in and have a cocktail if they want, they're still gonna have to smoke a cigarette in the correct place and everything if they want, but they just can't enter. They can't enter from the back, and they can't exit from the back unless it's an emergency to do so. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
I'd sit down and talk to the chief, even talk to the bar owners too. And then we can readdress this maybe next time we get together. Any other non-agenda items? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So,
Make a motion to adjourn.
Pat seconded it. All in favor, say aye. Or no,
What are we
that's
doing?
not my job. Say it.
McKinley?
Call it.
yes.
Pearl?
Yeah.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Allen?
Yes.
Motion carried.
In my